good evening, Portland, Oregon. You know, when Jeff Krupp called up and he said, guess who's coming to town? Al Gore. And let me tell you, I think we can all agree on this. The number one emitter of hot air in America has to be Al Gore. Right? And then when I landed tonight and pulled up to this park, I saw this dangerous, angry mob. I tell you, I'm glad security's here. You guys look dangerous. You know, Nancy Pelosi's right. Maybe we are un-American for standing up for our freedoms, but I don't think so. Do you? You know, I don't think that Harry Reid was right when he called you and me evil mongers. Do you remember that? I think he was wrong. How about you? I think he was wrong. And when President Obama's administration actually stands up and says that millions of Americans going out and defending their rights, defending our freedoms, our liberties, that somehow we're not real, we're angry, that somehow we're astroturf, they're wrong, and tonight you're proving them wrong once again. Thank you. This cap and trade legislation will literally destroy the American economy. And I just want to leave you with 3 points. You know, when you hear the term cap and trade, I just want you to remember 3 things to tell your friends, your families, folks you're trying to influence, your senators, your House members, etc. Number 1, cap and trade means lost jobs. Look, we know what cap and trade does. They tell us their goal is to cap energy in America. When you ration something, what happens to the price of it? It goes up. When you have cheap, abundant energy, that's the best chance we have to move our economy, to get it moving again, to lower this disastrous 10.2% national unemployment rate. And when we're not going to give them our economy by rationing energy and driving up the cost of energy. You know, the folks you hear behind you, you know what they want? They want $8 a gallon gas. They want you to pay that. Well, guess what? We're going to say no to $8 a gallon gasoline. We know what it does to families and businesses. The folks protesting across the way and Al Gore inside, they actually want your utility bills to go through the roof on these cold Oregon winters. They want that. Why? Because they want to dictate to you and to me how we live our lives, don't they? They want the power to decide the kind of America we're going to live in. Well, we're telling them no way, no how, and we're going to beat them on cap and trade. We're going to win this legislation battle. You can bet we are. And the third thing you mean, when you hear cap and trade, it means lost jobs and higher taxes. But the third thing it means is a loss of your individual freedoms. I want to give you just one example from the House legislation that passed on cap and trade. You remember back in July, they finally rolled out the legislation about noon on Thursday. And then at midnight that night, this was late July, they dropped 300 plus pages of amendments onto the floor around midnight that night. And I know you're going to be shocked to hear this. I know it's going to stun you. But Friday morning, the House of Representatives voted 219 to 212 to pass cap and trade, and none of them had time to read the bill. I know that's shocking, isn't it? None of them had time to read the bill. I want to tell you about one amendment out of the hundreds of amendments that were added in. The amendment said this: if you go to sell your home, your private property, it has to meet the higher energy efficiency standards in order for you to qualify for the tax breaks that you're currently entitled to under American law. Now, what is that higher energy efficiency standards? No one knows. It hasn't been written yet. They actually, though, passed that amendment that gives unelected bureaucrats the opportunity to finish up what they consider energy efficiency that you and I will have to live by if we go to sell our homes. That's the kind of loss of freedom that we're talking about, and it's why we're going to beat this legislation. I want to thank you for coming out tonight, and I'll tell you this: we are winning the battle of ideas across this country tonight. We are winning. We're winning on cap and trade. We're winning on this healthcare takeover. Go Go back 6 or 8 months. Did you really think we could defeat this cap and trade legislation? But today, we can defeat it. And that's why the left is so angry. That's why they're bringing out violence in these protesters that you see. They know they are losing on the issues with the American people. So what do they resort to? Name calling, vicious personal attacks, trying to disrupt peaceful events. That's all they have left. And we're going to beat them because we're winning on the values and the principles that matter the most to America. So let's keep doing it. Let's keep fighting. Let's keep being Americans by standing up for our freedoms in the end. And one last thing I want to share with you about Al Gore. We took our hot air balloon to Nashville, Tennessee. I know my accent fooled you. I'm actually a Southerner from South Carolina. But we took our hot air balloon to Nashville, Tennessee last year. And we actually flew over his estate. And as I looked at it, we're good for him. We want prosperity in America. What we don't want is hypocrisy, though, do we? We do not want one guy, a politician, telling us how to live our lives and still wanting to live his life without the same impact. And that's the message we've got tonight for Al Gore. Thank you all for coming, and let's keep winning this thing.